Hey again, still the 22nd of February 2023, and I'm about an hour outside of Cork City. I've got an appointment with that friend of mine, and I decided to pull over and have a cigarette and just relax and look here. And this is something. See, they're tearing stuff up here, probably putting more drainage in there. And at any rate, I want to talk about two things. First, a little bit more about rules. There's something called the rule of three. What's the rule of three? Say it once, say it twice, and say it three times. That's the rule of three. You ever notice how when you're in sitting watching a film on television or wherever, and or you're reading a book, and I'll mention something about Helen Fox. I'm writing that right now. Almost done, I hope. And that went out. But at any rate, if I'm talking about Helen Fox way up front, something that she did, okay, she had a bastard, an ex-husband. I might use that again. I won't mention it for ages. And I'll use that same couple of paragraphs, almost, same way written, again, to remind the audience of what Helen encountered. And I might use it again, depending on how long the novel is and how long it's been since I talked about that particular scene or incident or whatever. That's the rule of three, and it works. And we'll talk about ticking clocks, but that's later. I'm ticking now. I mean, I've got to get to an appointment in a couple of hours. I've got plenty of time. If I was late, and you can use ticking clocks all the time effectively in a screenplay and a novel. Another time. Now, again, this is for Jenna. Jen, how are you? She's probably asleep now. Might be up working yesterday somewhere in New Jersey. And I'll go see her in a couple of weeks now. I booked the tickets yesterday. Yeah, I leave on the 31st of March. Okay, Always Come Home. Now, Always Come Home is inspired by a true story. It's not inspired by a true story. That's not a lie. I didn't know what to write. It is a true story. And the true story is about Muggins here, about Tom Richards. I changed my name to David Bloom. I changed everybody's name. I didn't want to hurt anybody. The only names that are approximately correct, one's very correct, and that's the dedication to Hector. And Hector was my grandfather, Hector Albert Richards, Hector A. Richards. And Rose was my mother's middle name. And it's dedicated also to Anne Tracy, who is a very real, very talented artist. So hi Anne, if you're watching. I'm not going to talk about much about it, about Always Come Home. It's still difficult to write. It's been out for a couple of years now. I've not marketed it at all. I decided I couldn't. I decided that many people wouldn't want to read it. It's too painful. Mind you, I had a review just the other day from from somebody who bought the book. And she gave it a strong 5-star rating. And she said it's a book written for everybody. So I'm starting to promote it that way. And we'll see what happens. I combined two stories that were true to tell this tale of insanity. I wasn't insane, but everybody else was that was involved in it. I won't mention names. Go out and buy it and guess. The first tale that's real happened, 2009. Quite a while ago now. Doesn't seem like it to me. And I'll only tell you this. I was accused of burning down an apartment and killing people. And I didn't at all. And I found that out when the insurance company did discovery. And they couldn't figure out who did it, so I didn't do it. I wasn't to blame. There wasn't a trace of gasoline or any kind of propellant, anything. All right? So that's that. Then they frog marched me out of a hotel where my family, it's in there, discovered me, a friend of mine. I was shocked to see them. I thought they were coming to help me because the apartment had burned down and I was in it. I think it was 2 days before that. Yeah, I think it was 2 days. And they hustled me out and had a GP examine me right in the middle of a pub, surrounded by all the people, all my friends. Made me stand on one foot and hop and gave me, just a typical examination. And long story short, the next thing I found out, I was in a psychiatric unit against my will, involuntary admission, which is what the novel's about, involuntary admission. Did you know that I can't remember if it's 2 million or 20 million people every year? Now, I'm going to have to do research again, I forget. 2 or 20 million people every year are involuntarily, it's 20 million, involuntarily admitted into psychiatric units against their will all over the world, every year. And some of those people, even if they're sane, they'll never get out of prison. And it is a prison. Yes, it's a prison. How would you like it to suddenly have somebody knock on the door, a neighbor, a friend, your doctor, maybe just a cop, fire department, anybody? Depends a little bit on the country, but most Western countries have these sort of rules. And they grab you. And on the second occasion, the EMT, well, he wasn't an EMT, he was one of the fellas, one of the nurses from the psychiatric unit. We became friends later. He entered the house forcefully. I'd unlocked the door like an idiot. He entered the house forcefully, grabbed my arm, twisted it around me, and put me in a hold. I thought my arm was going to break. And when he released me, he says, "Look, Mr. Richards, I'm sorry. We didn't know if you were trying to commit suicide or not. We got a call." I said, "Who called you?" "We're not authorized to tell you." I said, "Fine. I know who it was now." At any rate, I got put into the gin joint again. Yep, against my will. And this time, first time I stayed 5 days. This time I had to spend 10 or 11 days. I can't remember. And I got COVID as part of it. Oh boy. So I was stuck in this little tiny room for most of that stay, about a week. And then finally my COVID test came back and I was clear. I had a really good friend of mine help me out. Aoife, thanks. And she was the one that recommended I hire a lawyer, and I got a lawyer, and the guy looked at my records and he says, "They're out of their minds. We'll get you out of there." So they actually took it. I think they had to take it to the High Court in Ireland. I was released. Have I done anything about it? Maybe. Maybe I will. I might sue him. I might. That's twice they did it to me. If they can do it to me, they can do it to you. All right. That's enough for here. God bless. Talk to you later.